You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
People.
Welcome back, everybody.
All the listeners listening to Zod and Drea podcast, welcome back to another great episode of What Is to Come.
And it will be a great episode.
Yeah, so we definitely got some good things that are coming up. We've been really busy this week.
But when aren't we?
I know. Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. Anybody who knows us knows that, we go hard. Like, we go hard every week, whether we're doing some sort of civic something or, some
business stuff.
Or
just trying to get around our social circles and with our families.
Our friends, just trying to keep it, normal, but... try to get things done to help other people, because that's what Zod and Drea is all about. So this podcast is obviously just a piece of that. We just like to share the information and conversations that we have during the week.
Right, and give you a piece of into our lives and actually offer you the platform to share your thoughts and points of view, too.
And of course, we're going to always want you to answer back, so make sure you go on the site. We're going to make sure we promote it a little bit better to make sure that people know that they can actually submit articles, you can submit ideas, you can submit all kinds of things. You can even call in and leave messages. So we're gonna make sure that you guys are all aware of that a little bit better. But moving forward, we got a great show for you this time around.
What are we talking about today?
All right, so of course
that was really loud. Sorry,
yeah, I know,
I just
reason.
Out of
what's your
nowhere.
Issue? What is your issue? What's your damage, lady? So in case you don't know, if you haven't seen the 69th Annual Emmy Awards, we're going to discuss that a little bit, just for a few minutes. Some of the things that happened were pretty cool. Were pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And of course, it got really political. So let's talk about that. On
the relationship part, we're going to talk about partners with opposing social views. Have you been in that kind of situation before? Is your current relationship like that? So we're going to talk about it.
And of course, our main topic is going to be the state of impartiality in news reporting today. If in case you haven't really seen it, Jamel Hill over at ESPN was getting in a little bit of hot water for some of the statements that she had talked about Donald Trump. Being a reporter, is a little different now than it is in like the Walter Cronkite days,
mm-hmm.
the Tom Brokaw days, where they just reported the news. People trusted what they said instead of people throwing in their opinion of the news. So it's a little bit different in 2017 going on. So we wanted to talk about that. So if you're ready to talk about it, let's go.
Let's go.
So let's talk about these Emmys last night. Now, I don't usually ever watch award shows, but I was like sleeping on the couch when you had put
mm-hmm.
them on the TV, and I'm like, all right, whatever. Then it was in there, and then, what's his name?
Stephen Colbert.
Colbert was telling jokes.
I'm a fan of Colbert, right? I'm a fan of his. So then when he started off the show, I was like, okay, I got to see this, right? And at first, I really wasn't going to see it, but I thought, okay, I want to see it. And he was also nominated, I think, also for an Emmy himself for his show. And look, we're just going to talk about what it seems to be rolling in social media circles and on the media a lot about a guest that came on during his opening speech. Now, I guess that's the big thing for any host for the Emmys is their opening speech or opening montage or whatever it is. I mean, Billy Crystal back in the day used to host the Emmys, and those would be really cool to see because he would dance, he would do all this stuff, or was it the Oscars?
Yeah, so I think it was Oscars.
Was it?
I think Billy Crystal was Oscars.
Damn. Well, either way, I love Billy Crystal. So, anyways, who was the guest then that all of a sudden came on stage? Remember? I'm doing the build-up on the Emmys that Colbert had.
What, the one last night?
Yeah. Who was the guest that came on that surprised everybody? It was Sean Spicer.
You're talking about Spice. I'm like, I don't know. There were a bunch of celebrities that popped up there. I don't know.
That's the one that's getting all the feeds today about, all right, Spicer came on mocking himself, right? And now you got all these conversations about, well, is now the liberals embracing him? I really just think he is just mocking himself, and he's just trying to get his 2 minutes of fame.
He's trying to get his reputation back a little bit. I mean, he's probably known as a joke. I mean, which is why Colbert, called him Melissa McCarthy. I mean, he didn't even call him Sean Spicer till later. Called him the Wizard of Lies. So, he's trying to build up his rep, but it's like, you were the point man for a big ass liar for a whole bunch of months before you were, booted out, more or less. And I understand you trying to get, your mojo back, and it's like, I want people to take me seriously, or at least, in a comedic setting, where, I can laugh at myself, but, I don't think it has anything to do with liberal or conservative. It's somebody who is knowingly lying to the public. And,
right.
So to me, in order for him to build his image back, whether it's on the Emmys or not, is for him to, fully confess. He better do a tell-all.
Exactly.
Do a tell-all. Be like, no, I was, forced to say all this shit. Otherwise,
gun to my head, they're going to kill my dog.
It better be something like that. Because, nobody should openly just lie about this nonsense to the American public. But all in all, there are a lot of firsts, and they were saying that they feel that this Emmys was a lot of firsts in the face of Trump. Almost like this entire Emmys was trolling Trump. Not just the jokes, but the winners. The fact Donald Glover won too. He was the first.
Talk about the winners.
How he was the first black
writer.
I think no. There was I know Riz Ahmed was the first Asian man to win his award for outstanding lead. I think first outstanding lead act, the first in '69. You're the first Asian guy. That's wild. In other words, I mean, there were a lot of people, women who had won. Nicole Kidman had won. Donald Glover, he won twice. So this is a black man who won outstanding lead actor in a comedy, which was, I think they said in 30-something year, 36 years.
That's nuts.
Or something so it was almost Sterling Brown in This Is Us, he won. An outstanding lead actor.
That was a great speech, too.
Yeah, he had a great speech. They cut him off, but, he'll be all right. So if you look, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she did her thing. But, they were saying that all the women that had won and all the men had won, people of color, the fact that Elizabeth Moss for The Handmaid's Tale, considering how Trump's administration is and where it's leading, they were that's almost a jab. Not that she doesn't deserve it, but it's the fact that that was a perfect jab. Not just that, but as they won, I think the main, TV program.
Main program.
Drama. So they were saying that even politically, that's probably what it was. So a lot of people weren't really feeling it. And, of course, Sean Spicer being the icing on the cake, making fun of himself, which is almost like making fun of the Trump. He was almost throwing some shade at Trump.
And you guys got to look up Julia Louis-Dreyfus' acceptance speech, because it was a constant jab. It was a constant jab
at Trump. So it wound up being really political. But I thought, considering I don't watch these award shows, I thought it was pretty good.
And look at the women were on point.
This is the photos.
Thing for Hollywood. If you are 35 and under, no, you ain't hot no more. It's 35 and up.
You got to keep on. And we're talking even Jane Fonda.
80 years old.
Damn near 80. And you should have heard she murdered her.
Look her up. She looked beautiful.
Awesome. And I mean, every black woman on there looked
gorgeous.
Dope. I mean, just the women.
Too.
The women were killing it. The women killed it in their outfits. So I'm not, a fashion guru or anything, but
somebody's gonna watch next year.
Doubt it. But Emmys, I just don't give a shit about your friggin' awards. If I'm not getting one, whatever.
What's our next topic?
All right, next topic is relationships. We're gonna talk about partners with opposing social views. Now, I have, believe it or not, I think I have dated a Republican, but so I think Republican in voting, but not in views. It's weird. By now she's probably voting Democrat. She just wasn't into politics like that. But there are people who don't.
Yeah, I dated a Republican, a Latino Republican, and yeah, that didn't work out. But respected his points of view, and he respected mine. And
I think that it would wind up being a lot easier. I mean, how do you guys feel? To me, it's one of those things where if you have an opposing social view, what do you wind up relating on? Now, it seems like it could also be a challenge that you relate on so many more other issues that the social views, wind up being almost second, which is cool. It's almost, I guess, utopian mind state where you can think of other things that are, you're similar in viewing, which is more beautiful than social. So I'm going to look outside of this, but in reality, the social stuff is what makes us us. I can't ignore my race. I can't ignore racism. I can't ignore being a male and what my privilege just as a male is, as opposed to women in this country or world. So there's certain things I can, yeah, sure, we both may like ice cream, we both may like, going, traveling abroad. Cool. But there's some things that are always going to come and bite you back in your ass, especially if you're around others who are going to remind you.
Correct. And that was the thing for me that would always pop up, with the person that I was dating that had different political views as me. I got to admit, like you had mentioned, it was a little bit of a challenge for me to take on, like, okay, well, if he's viewing this way, let me show what the opposite view could be. So that I actually enjoyed because it kept me on top of my game, on what's going on, why I stand for certain things, why I am passionate and want to see change for certain topics and issues. But you really do get to see that for me, it was just, it came down to, we just couldn't agree on a lot of stuff that was really super important to me. And, might as well just do you and support what that person's going to be in the life, but it's just something I can't control and can't support, together. Does that make sense a little bit?
I mean, a little bit. I would say, like, opposite views for people, it's whatever you guys can relate on. A lot of people sit there, they relate on certain things. Sometimes it's the sex, and that's all I'm going to do is go that far until they wind up meeting that person's parents, and the parents like, oh, you're one of them, or you're you. Like, what do you
right.
go? They remind you real quick on, who you are. And then maybe your significant other starts questioning, well, damn, why am I with this person? And they can easily change their mind. Social ways, I'm glad that you and I have, similar social views. Despite you being Latino, me being black, in America, we're very similar in our cultures, especially the way other people see us. So it winds up that we wind up fighting against the same type of a system. And even still, just as a respect towards each other's cultures, we still have each other's back in that way. There's
Correct.
still, where some people, they just literally do not try to understand that other person's culture. They don't get it until later. And I have a friend who I dated who's white, and she didn't understand until, like, recently. Considering we were dating back in 2008, she didn't understand until, like, recently, especially after Trump. Then it kicked in. But, it was like, I didn't realize that, she was wondering why she didn't understand it, but it's like now. So that was also different.
Well, really quick, we got a few seconds left. eHarmony makes some suggestions if you're dating somebody that has different views than you. Then one is like declare a subject off limits. You guys, if you notice you're in a heated discussion off of something, then just declare that one off limits and maybe talk about something else, right? Let's see, really quick then, listen and learn. That's really a suggestion, I think, for everybody.
Please listen carefully.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod.
And I'm Drea.
And we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye.
All right, people.
Hate it when the time cuts us short on subjects.
Yeah, it's the time's fault.
Yes, it always is. All right, let's get into our main topic, and that is the state of impartiality in news reporting today.
So, of course, like I was saying before, the news reporting was a little different back in the day, 60s, 50s, 70s. But, I mean, as my neighbor would probably say, it's the 24-hour news cycle that really started to influence a lot of people. And once that came in, there was news all the time. And now, people start hiring other people to some even pose as news reporters, even though they're just reading teleprompters.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more like social commentary. Like, let's take somebody like Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity.
Okay.
You know, like these guys, they're not news reporters. They act like they are. They got the pen in their hand. They're sitting there trying to write and scribble stuff up. And they try to say that the opposing view would be somebody like Rachel Maddow. The difference between the two is the research that is done, you know, between the two types of individuals. One is strictly opinion, while the other one may be opinion, but she has so many facts and digs so deep into the research that she does that she can back up everything.
Every single item she brings up, and even sources it, and can like you said, verbatim, can know exactly where it's coming from.
Yet somebody like Sean Hannity is just an opinion like slob who just sits there and talks about, you know, like God, during the Obama times, like all he did was bash Obama. Like that's all
it was
he
awful.
did. Like that's it. That's all he did. Even now he did. During the primaries, all he did and does is bash Hillary Clinton. We're talking about a woman who, she lost the election almost a year ago, and the Trump, you know, and Trump lovers, that they're still talking about.
They won't let go of it.
Like, they don't let go. They still won't let go.
And Bill O'Reilly, he was pretty much like the host of a TMZ version back in the day, like in the late 80s.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
pretty
remember?
much. Yeah,
what was the show? Inside Edition.
Inside Edition, yeah. You know, I mean, the clownage.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Bill O'Reilly, he's finished now. He's out of Fox. But, you know, it took so much vitriol for them to get him out, but it wasn't even based on that. It was more on sexual harassment charges. And even that took a while because that wasn't the first time he was charged.
He had to commit a crime for him.
Yeah, pretty much for them to finally do it. I mean, the thing is, racism can come and flow out of the Fox News people's mouths, but they just don't get punished for it. And that brings us to Jamel Hill, who had made a tweet that said Donald Trump is a white supremacist who has largely surrounded himself with other white supremacists. Now, she works for ESPN, and Donald Trump didn't like it, saying, you know, in a response, ESPN is paying a really big price for its politics and bad programming. Of course, he always has to insult, you know, whatever company, you know, insulted him. People are dumping it in record numbers. Apologize for untruth. Now, we're talking about a man who backed white supremacists, backed the Confederacy, is supported by the KKK, not neo-Nazis, and all kinds of other white supremacist groups. So they're all right. They love Donald Trump, and they think that Donald Trump speaks for them. They are openly, like, right there, to the point where they said that his press conference, where he did not denounce the white supremacists for their nonsense and the killing of Heather Heyer, and instead tried to throw Antifa into the same mix, and, you know, on both sides. Like, Antifa didn't kill anyone. The Nazis don't stand for anything, you know, positive, yet he wanted to make sure that his base was protected. So when Jamel Hill had tweeted that, and it got a lot of responses, they, including White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, wanted Hill to be fired. How are you going to stand there as a press secretary and give your opinion?
And you know what, Huckabee? You are a public servant as well. How dare you single out anybody like that and use that podium and use that format to single out, you know, American citizens? You work for us.
It's beyond that. It's the fact that she broke out of her character, just like maybe Jamel Hill maybe did. But the thing is, we're talking about news and opinion. You're the press secretary of the United States.
You got other stuff to deal with.
You don't need to be talking about who should be fired or not. You know, it's one thing to give your opinion, but you don't give an opinion on who should have a job. Because I'm going to tell you, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has stood up there and lied to the public about everything in order to protect her boss. So when you're lying to the American public, is that not a fireable offense? Correct. I mean, you want to talk about fireable offense, it's like, how many people on Fox News and some of these other sites have downed Barack Obama? I mean, you remember when he gave a pound to his wife? They said, "Oh, is that a terrorist fist bump?" Like what are you talking about? Like, it gets to the point where people like what's her name, Ingraham, Laura Ingraham, like over Fox News, she's been talking so much shit that they wound up boosting up her show to get the popular 10 o'clock slot, and she's talking about I should do like a quick search on her, but It says here on Think Progress, a nice quote that she had was, "The price to pay for multiculturalism is terrorism." So terrorism is the price to pay for multiculturalism. In other words, if you're a multicultural society, then that's what terrorism is. What you get.
Isn't that Nazi propaganda?
That is literally Nazi propaganda.
Straight from the handbooks.
You know, this is literally what Fox News people, and they're like, oh, well, that's dope. Let's put her in a slot where more of our viewers can see her.
Mm-hmm. And she's blonde, and she's cute, so we'll definitely have a lot of those male watchers too now, because that's what Fox does. They always like to have their standard girl.
They have a whole bunch of them. Mm-hmm. Fox and Friends winds up doing the same thing. But it's like, are these people, they are using their opinion to state what they believe is the truth, which was crazy because it isn't, because there's no proof that backs up what they say.
So where's the reporting integrity in this?
They don't have any. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, their listeners don't need integrity in their reporting, because they love the fact that somebody is rallying in how they feel. They're glad that people are thinking how they already feel in their homes, where they are segregated from diversity. Mm-hmm. So, when you get people discussing things like, oh, BLM is, a terrorist organization, mm-hmm. and, they try to akin BLM, Black Lives Matter, with, the Charlotte protest. Yeah. And it's like one is protesting for the rights that already exist in America. Like, it already exists. The other ones are protesting because of police brutality. So they're trying to, it's not the same damn thing. It's not even close to the same thing. So they try to label the Dallas shooting of the cops. You remember that? You remember the 5 cops? I think they were shot down in Dallas. They try to, because the one guy who was a shooter, I think he may have gone to in fact, I think he actually specifically stated he's not Black Lives Matter, but he was a black guy. So it doesn't really matter. Right. Because if you're a black person, then, racist white people will say that you're Black Lives Matter, but only
you're a card-carrying member.
Only if you commit a crime. Like, if you have committed a crime, then, that's Black Lives Matter. Like, no, that's like saying every single, white person is part of, this group or whatever, this group, just because I'm going to think negatively of you. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what, there's a white person, they must be part of the Klan because I think negatively of the Klan. It's like, no, that's stupid. It's a stupid thought.
It's a stupid stereotyping.
If you think negatively of Black Lives Matter, you think, he busted a window, then he's part of Black Lives. Like, for what? Mm-hmm. He just blew somebody up. Like, then they're all of them are terrorists. So
they're doing the same thing, like you said, with Antifa. Antifa. They've got a black mask on. They're Antifa.
Then they're all Antifa. It's like, no, maybe somebody just bought a friggin' black bandana because they knew that it might go down. But this is the world that we're living in. And then we wind up having people who are quote unquote news reporters, who wind up putting their opinion into things.
And that's what they're basing their whole career on. It's not just one segment, it is everything. And then from there, you can definitely see the trickle effect on how that impression affects the way that they're reporting their version of news. It's not even news anymore.
It's not news, at least some of them. Actually, a lot of them. I mean, I can even go on both sides, left or right, to see what is news, and but they usually wind up having a pundit from some side. So if it's a conservative news network, they'll have like one left-leaning guy on there but usually he's like just dumb, and they wind up getting smashed by what they believe is in an intellectual view. Like, let's take Tucker Carlson. Like, Tucker's a moron, okay? Tucker's an idiot. He's an actual real life.
He's a true idiot.
He's a true moron. But, he'll bring on somebody who's stupid, or he'll say something that seems like it's smart, but it isn't. It's an opinion. He's an opinion piece. It's like, no, dig up the facts of something before you speak on it. You can't have somebody like Tucker Carlson try to tell an audience what black people are like, what Latino people are like, unless you have Latino people in your family, you have Latino people in your circles, or black people in your circles. Like, and I don't mean conservative ones, I mean the ones that are the majority, the ones who actually hang around in the space of other people of color. Like, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. He literally doesn't know, and you can't go by, I'm going to bring David Clark on here to talk about something on my news program. And then you get things like that. You bring David Clark, who doesn't like black people. I don't care if he's black. You can be black and not like black people. This has happened in history. Look at who's that motherfucker? Clarence Thomas.
Oh.
Clarence Thomas has voted against black rights because he wants to be that Negro that all the white people like. So this goes beyond impartiality of news reporting. It's within the United States. It's ingrained within the United States.
As far as what do you mean by as far as like get into more about?
It's in history. It's in the history of. So yeah, we can go to the news and wind up having people have an opinion about something. It's one thing when you say something, but we're talking about it's ingrained within the United States that everybody has an opinion. And the thing is, people seek to go and flock towards other people with those same opinions, and that's why Fox News has such a large gathering. MSNBC has a large gathering, whereas there's CNN, it's more left leaning, but they do have people on both sides, that are able to speak on something. But there's nothing that's specifically right down the middle. Like, look, this is just what it is. People. It's funny. Like if you have something that is down the middle, I consider NPR down the middle, but like people don't, or PBS. People are like, no, that's just left-leaning. In other words, in today's world, if you don't kiss Trump's ass, if you don't kiss his ass, if you don't love him and bow down to him, if you don't hate Barack Obama, if you don't hate Hillary Clinton, then you're not a true Republican. Right. You're not a true conservative. Then you are... In fact, they go as far as to say that you're not even a patriot. You're not even, worthy of being an American citizen. They say that being American is to hate your president. You have to hate Barack Obama and dislike everything that he did, even though he made your life a lot better.
And you're still reaping the benefits of it, but you must hate him, and you must hate any policy he made in place. You must hate his wife. You must hate everything that he has ever touched, and this is so scary and so ridiculous. It's almost in a form of a dictatorship.
It is. It's close to a dictatorship. And the thing is, you wind up having people with, instead of Breitbart and Fox, where they cater to a big, large audience of Americans who agree with that. They agree with that to the point where, like, they are MAGA, like, they wear their red MAGA hats and all this stuff. I mean, but it's weird because most of them are just online. They just talk shit online and they don't show up anywhere. Like, we just had it was supposed to be like the largest Trump rally ever or something like that coming up.
No one showed up.
And like no one showed up. So these people, I don't know if they are going to vote. Like some of these people believe that, like Jesse Waters, talking about the Emmys, and Jesse Waters is a Fox News dude he talks the stupidest shit. He said something about what's her name? He made a blowjob joke about Ivanka Trump on air.
Oh, I remember that.
And that got him in trouble, probably within his own circles, because they were like, yeah, you don't talk about her like that. You don't do that, But then, of course, when the Emmys show up, this guy was so pissy about all the Trump bashing that they were doing at the Emmys that he's believing that they're setting up a re-election victory, that Hollywood's setting up a re-election victory for Trump. Like, please. I think that in today's world, despite what's happening, people are understanding what is going on, and they are going to be able to divide between left, right, the news, who's telling the truth, whatever, and research is out there. I just find that one side really does not do research.
Very much, very much. What I'm hoping is that because of all of the tools that we have more accessible to us than ever before, you have information. Really look at and truly understand what 2 points are. Stop looking at the stuff that makes you feel good or agrees with your point of view. Isn't that the whole point of being in America, is understanding other points of view and having the space to be able to argue that and not being bullied into something out of fear or fear of losing your life or fear of going to jail? Come on. That's American.
And one thing that I want to say real quick is it's funny how some of the people on the right, especially like Tommy Loren, who they call it Tammy. Tammy Loren, and all these other people on Fox and Breitbart are going to rip into Jamel Hill for calling him a white supremacist. What kills me is he needs to stop acting like a white supremacist, and maybe people will take him seriously. And the fact that other white supremacists and racists are sitting there trying to call her out on it, please. They're even trying to call her a racist. How do you call a guy who's a white supremacist, but you're a racist? A black woman who's a racist in America? Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that narrative.
And the guy that you supported, he just said it again. Was it about Charlottesville? Was it last week? He still was like, well, there's still both sides.
Yeah, still both sides. So, anyway, If you want to continue this discussion, please check us out online on Facebook at Zod Andrea, Twitter at Zod Andrea, Instagram at Zod Andrea, and pretty much everywhere else.
Obviously, we can do this all day long.
So check us out on YouTube. Give us your thoughts on everything that we've spoken about, and check us out on every social network out there. Hell, we can set up a Pinterest.
Yeah, and send us pictures. Why not?
Just do what you gotta do, all right?